Learn more about the multi-district litigation involving Paraquat from our client, Eric Chaffin of Chaffin Luhana. Eric, thank you for joining us today, and we'd like to talk with you about the Paraquat litigation. What could you share with us about that?
Yeah, so the Paraquat litigation alleges that Syngenta and Chevron sold an herbicide for years in the US, which has been banned in many other countries, but still permitted to be sold in the United States currently. And that herbicide, when you're exposed to it over a long period of time, that you can develop Parkinson's disease. And so farmers and people who applied it on crops and in fields who were exposed, many of them are developing Parkinson's disease and PD, as we refer to it in short. And it's obviously very bad neurological symptoms, very debilitating, and really unfortunate for the clients.
And so, how did your firm become involved in the Paraquat litigation?
So my firm is on the steering committee in the multi-district litigation. My law partner, Rupal Han, has been appointed by the court there. And we've been heavily involved and we've been taking depositions. We're also involved in the expert depositions. We're also involved in the briefing that's being done now for Daubert. And there's trials coming up later this year. And, there's trials that are going to go forward both in the MDL as well as in California. And, it's a particularly meaningful litigation because these people really had a slow progressive injury over time, and it really was not apparent early on, and really for a long time, as to what was causing the injuries. And so, we like litigations where we can get involved and drive both awareness for the potential client base, and then also be able to have the science and the ability to go in the court and prove up the cases. And so, this case is particularly meaningful. And one of our attorneys who's working on this case, his father actually has Parkinson's disease, and so just across our team, I think there's a lot of interest in litigation because we know this disease all too well, and we know how badly the clients are suffering, and we want to bring justice for them.
Absolutely. You make a good point, Eric, and I just want to touch base with you on this concept. Trial lawyers make a difference. You advocate for your clients and you're trying to get results, obviously, for these people who were impacted. But also, if you would perhaps talk a little bit about changing the science. And what I really love about trial lawyers is that in addition to getting results for the people who have been injured, you actually help to make the world a safer place so that the rest of us don't have to deal with situations like this. Could you maybe speak about that for just a moment?
Yeah, it's absolutely true, and it's something. One of the litigations historically that we're really proud of is the denture adhesive litigation, which happened. It's been about 12 years ago now, 13 years ago, and GlaxoSmithKline was manufacturing Super Polygrip, which is still on the market, but it had a high level of zinc in it, and it was causing very debilitating copper deficiency meloneuropathy in patients. And so we brought the cases. It actually received national attention through Good Morning America and other programming. And so we were able to help a lot of different people in that litigation get a recovery against GlaxoSmithKline, and very fortunate that they at least got some compensation, but the injuries are just horrific. And so, people talk about, plaintiffs' attorneys and use derogatory terms that they, like to throw around in tort reform circles about ambulance chasers. But the reality is there's a lot of things in society that are causing injuries that people aren't necessarily aware of. And so we can drive change in two ways. One is to actually get the product removed. So in the case of GlaxoSmithKline with the Super Polygrip, we believe we had an influence in that zinc coming out of the product. But then secondly, to drive awareness so that people can become aware and able to come forward and get at least monetary compensation from the companies for the injuries they suffered. And I just remind the public that, if you have somebody, for example, like we did in the denture adhesive litigation, who are relatively poor and have these really debilitating injuries and they go on public disability, that there's also a public good, which is it's no longer, the individuals paying for people through society and higher taxes, but instead the companies who cause the injuries are forced to take responsibility by paying for the health care for those people. And so I find at least the same economic principles that play to those conservative tropes of tort reform. When you actually look at the economic rationale of it, it makes a lot of sense to actually have the responsibility sit with the corporations who caused the injuries, not on society at large through higher taxes and other things we may have to pay.
And that's so true. And I think a lot of people, Eric, don't think about the idea that trial lawyers hold the keys to the courthouse. They're the only people protecting our Seventh Amendment rights. And so, thank you for what you do to help your clients involved in this litigation. And thank you and your firm for what you do, helping to make the world a safer place for all of us.
Yeah,
If
sure.
someone wanted to get in touch, Eric, about the Paraquat litigation or any litigation, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with your firm?
Yeah, I think there are really two ways. Our website, chaffinluhana.com, is the easiest way. If you just type in Chaffin Luhana, Luhana, and Google or any search engine, you'll find us. Our phone number is also 888-480-1123. But we're pretty easy to find. And our team handles a lot of Paraquat cases and certainly, willing and able to help anybody who might need help in the litigation. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you for what you do and for joining us today.
thank you for having me.